My daughter fit so perfectly on my hip, as if I'd been carved especially for her. I nuzzled her cheek when she gave me that cherubic smile. I was alarmed by her canines, for they were getting sharper every day. My daughters were a daily reminder of their wolf-shifter fathers, for they had their silver blue eyes, they loved being outdoors, and their smiles were far too feral. Deep in my gut, I knew they were destined to be not just wolf-shifters, but witches too. I held tightly to Ember, the more introspective and quiet of my toddlers. My twin sister Sharina followed me up the narrow path with Aurora, my bold and adventurous child, on her hip. My daughters were my primary source of joy after our father forced us to dwell deep within the dark Paraculean forest, which sat beneath the looming mountains by the same name. It was always gloomy here, a mirror of my miserable heart. This was the most treacherous part of our journey to the village, stepping over gnarled roots and dodging stinging branches while hiking up a steep incline, all while trying not to drop my child or the basket of soaps tucked in the crook of my arm. We'd just come from bathing in the falls. Our hair was still damp, plaited on top of our heads so as not to soak our gowns. Our skin glowed beneath the orange rays of the waning sunlight streaming through the pines. We would have to get inside soon, for even though it was warm in late spring, the nights still brought a bite to them. My children loved bathing in the falls. It was their favorite thing to do, though it didn't take much to make them happy. Unlike me, whose soul was always shrouded in a dark cloak of gloom while I struggled to accept all that I'd lost. Ember and her sister Aurora were all that were left of their fathers, mates I'd only spent one night with before my world had imploded. An unusual hush fell about the forest, and I stopped as if I'd hit a wall, wincing when a bar of soap fell out of my basket with a thunk. Sharina swore behind me. "I almost ran into you." "Sorry," I breathed. My nostrils flared as I scented a change in the air. Adrian was here. I looked behind me at my scowling sister as she picked up my fallen bar of soap and put it in her basket. We'd once been mirror images, but now there were obvious differences in our features. Perhaps it was that her face and figure were fuller. I've barely had an appetite these days. Perhaps it was that her moss-colored eyes didn't have dark circles beneath them after 3 years of crying herself to sleep.